Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. Another great episode of NXT. Incredibly fun to watch. Good matches, good angles, great personalities. NXT, when it's done right, it don't miss. We won't talk about it. May the 7th, 2024. Alright, one news and note coming out of NXT is apparently Alicia Taylor is going to be moved to either Raw or SmackDown. It has not been decided which one yet, but Alicia Taylor, the ring announcer for NXT, she's actually getting called up, and Mike Rome, the the ring announcer for SmackDown, is actually going to be moved to NXT. I saw some articles that said it was supposed to happen this week, but it might be happening a little bit later because Alicia Taylor was the voice of NXT on Raw this week. So that ought to be interesting. Alicia Taylor is actually pretty good. I did not know she was 43 years old. Had no idea. She does not look 43 at all. But then again, she's wearing a lot of makeup. But even when I seen her without her makeup, she didn't look old. I'm not saying like she's an ancient, she-beast or something like that. But she just did not look 43. When they say black don't crack, sometimes they mean it. All right, let's talk about NXT. So the show opens with a big vignette for Wesley. They actually give him like a standing ovation as he was making his entrance. Made a really big deal out of this thing. I was very impressed. Wesley is going to have a match with Josh Briggs, which I was like, oh boy, I forgot this was even a thing. I thought Wesley might actually work a little bit differently, knowing that his back injury was so severe that he almost cost him his entire career, but nah. And they did the smart story, Josh Briggs working the back, putting him in bear hugs and stuff. I just felt like the match was a little long, and I feel like I had the same problem with Wesley that I always have. He's the same super indie guy that he's always been. I need him to not be that way. That's what I need. And he's still kind of devoid of personality, but the crowd really likes him. So I wonder how he's going to be booked on the main roster, because I just see Ricochet 2.0, and that Javon Evans kid, that's Ricochet 3.0. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Wesley wins. Ivar is at ringside. He gives a little bit of a distraction to Josh Briggs, which allows Wesley to win. After the match, Ivar and Josh Briggs are fighting, and for some odd reason, Wesley decides he's going to attack both of these guys, and then he does, and I'm like, oh, all right. And we don't see any of these people for the rest of the day. So, see you later. Thanks a lot. Wesley versus Obafemi is going to go hard. It's going to go hard, but I really hope Obafemi doesn't lose to this guy. I really do. It's time for Wesley. He's been in NXT since like 2020. It's time for him to go, if we're being honest. After this run, he should go against Oba, take the L, and then get booted over to SmackDown or something. Get him out of NXT. Shayna Baszler defeated Carmen Petrovic. Carmen Petrovic, she's got a cool entrance. She's got a sword. I was told that swords were lame because Drew McIntyre had a sword. And they said, oh, swords are lame. That's a stupid cartoon thing. Why are you carrying a sword? Now Carmen Petrovic has a sword. And she's cutting stuff in her entrance. Like, she's got this nice little silhouette that's going, with the chops and everything. It was very cool. Very neat, as the kids say. And she comes to the ring with the sword. She doesn't use it. But this thing is, of course, built off of Shayna Baszler choking her out during the NXT Underground shabazzle last week. So they're just basically continuing this. Carmen Petrovic is not bad. The only problem is she doesn't lay any of her strikes in. So she's got all these deadly kicks and things. And almost none of it looks good because she's whiffing on kicks instead of trying to make some contact. I get it. You don't want to turn this thing into Stardom where they're, karate booting each other in the head every week. But at the same time, when your strikes are your thing, they should be snug. You know, she should take a little bit from Gunther and Dragunov and lay some of that shit in. I know that, you know, she's dealing with a lot of volleyball players and stuff, but, you know, you probably should. It'll fit your character better. Shayna Baszler wins. No surprise there. Later, Natalya tries to give a downtrodden Carmen Petrovich a pep talk because Carmen believes she's wasting Natalya's time and she doesn't understand why she's losing and all this kind of stuff. So Natalya says, like, yeah, martial arts, that's self-defense, it's defensive thinking. In pro wrestling, you got to be more offensive. So then here, that sexy BJ Ray dude from the TV show, from Next Gen, he pops up and they kick him in the head. Carmen Petrovich kicked him in the head. So, speaking of this sexy BJ Ray thing, I kind of forgot about it because it was not that important anyway. But 10 people were fired from NXT. And a couple of them were actually on the Next Gen show. I'll actually go through the list later. So, I forgot. Honestly, I did. It was just so unimportant. There was only one person in the whole thing that I recognized. Well, two people whose names I recognized. But, I guess Carmen Petrovich is about to turn it all around because now she's starting to think more offensively. So hopefully that works out because she is actually not terrible. No Quarter Catch Crew get into it with Tyreek and Tyson. I don't know what their last names are. Can't tell which is which either, if we're being honest. And they decide that they're going to get into it. They're going to fight each other. And this is over Axiom and Ethan Fraser being the tag team champions. And, you know, I'm calling them TNT. That's what I write down when I see them. That these guys want a shot, even though they lost pretty much every match they've been in so far. So the No Quarter Cash Crew challenged them to a match, and they decided they're going to have that match. And the Good Brothers, they approach Axiom and Ethan Fraser and try to get them to two-sweet them, but they refused. And this is the Good Brothers. This is their contribution to NXT. Is you're just too sweet. They've been doing this for 15 goddamn years. These guys gonna get the hell out of here. I'm sick of these son bitches. I don't know what more to get them out of here. Carl Anderson. We need to pack up Luke Gallows. I don't know if there's a more useless motherfucker. Well, no, I stand incorrected. He isn't quite Shawn Spears level, but he is probably the second most useless sack of garbage in all of NXT. Probably the second most useless sack of crap. You know, and this is a piece of crap they've fired 3 or 4 times. Like, even Shawn Spears does not have that blue ribbon on his lapel. That he's been fired under 4 or 5 different names. Why can't we get rid of Luke Gallows? What does he actually do for the company? He doesn't even carry AJ Styles bags no more. So damn, what a useless piece of garbage. I can't stand the Good Brothers, man. Ugh, why you bald? Why you bald? Anyway, No Quarter Cash Crew are defeated by Tyreek and Tyson because there is no referee, and Stacks of the family decides he is the referee because they didn't explain how Tony D'Angelo has the power to get Stacks to officiate a match. Would have been nice if, like, Ava was threatened or they slid her some money under the desk or something. But nope, they just said there's no referee. The referee is indisposed. So they had to have a special guest referee, and it was Stacks. And of course, Stacks cheated and allowed Tyreek and Tyson to win. Charlie Dempsey, son of William Regal, was so mad about this that he decided he's going to give Tony D'Angelo that championship match that he wanted, but said that Tony D'Angelo still will not have any authority. He won't have any power because he's not going to know which one of them is going to defend the cup because of the catch clause that they decide literally before the bell which one of them are going to wrestle. So at the very end of the show, we see Damon Kemp and Miles Bourne being beat up in the old NXT parking lot and shoved in the trunk. So Tony D'Angelo was like, huh? How about that quarter claws now, huh? How about that? Yeah. You know? And Dempsey comes out there, he's all a whistling with his curly hair. He's like, where's all me mates? You know, like, where's my guys at? And nothing happened to him, but you get the idea that Dempsey's alone. He's the only one that can defend the cup now. So it's got to be Dempsey versus Tony D'Angelo next week. And I love that because I like Charlie Dempsey. I like Tony D'Angelo. I really have no interest in Damon Kemp. I don't understand why he's still there. Apparently they fired his brother. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Miles Bourne's still there. I don't know what's up with that either. But it was just a great angle. You know, a little problem with trying to figure out how Stacks can be a referee and why Ava would allow that. And him being an obviously cheating referee. And I kind of forgot that the family is supposed to be the baby faces in this situation. They killed a guy, and they're cheating referees. And the No Quarter Cracks crew is the guys you're supposed to not like. You know, like, these are the guys you're supposed to hate. That's weird. Anyway, moving forward. All right, so they had the Combine. This led to Kalani Jordan and Fallon Henley getting into it. Kalani Jordan was just doing an NXT staple, which is NXT wrestler is watching the screen and complaining about something that happened last week to nobody in particular. It's just other people sitting there listening to them bitch and moan, which is weird. Like, I've never seen this anywhere else except NXT. She's standing and just walking back and forth. Like, I can't believe Fallon Henley is acting like this. And nobody's like responding to her or nothing. It's just standing there looking at her or just sitting there expressionless. They're not like, I know, right? Like, that's crazy. Like, in conversation or nothing. It's just a monologue in which she's like, Fallon Henley is such a jerk. I wish I had saw her during that Combine. I'd have kicked her ass. And then Fallon Henley just happened to be within earshot. She came onto the screen and was like, oh, so why didn't you do nothing? And then, you know, they go back and forth and they're starting to yell. And then all of a sudden, the Wallflowers, who had nothing to say literally 30 seconds ago, they stand up and they start separating them and everything. That led to Fallon Henley defeating Kalani Jordan in a match later that same night. It was a decent match. They're trying to find the right gimmick for Fallon Henley. She's already gone kind of cocky heel. Her whole thing now is Fallon comes first. She doesn't need any friends. She wants to be the first women's North American champion, and whatever it takes to do that, she'll do it. In this match, she pulled the top turnbuckle off, and then Kalani Jordan hit it, and she ended up hitting her finish and winning the match. So, Fallon Henley, okay, she's still working out the rough edges, and that old Godwin's ass thing that she got can go away. And it's not as bad as the Godwins, but clearly it ain't much better. It ain't much better. Now, the Combine was very interesting. We're going to talk about the Combine a little bit. So, the Combine, the idea behind it is that they are going to pick the best physical specimens for the Women's North American Championship. So, they're going to have a series of tests, physical tests, and the top 12 will be chosen for the tournament. So, and then the winners of the tournament matches will end up in the ladder match itself. So it goes from the entirety of the women's locker room down to 12, down to 6 in one ladder match. That's how it was put together. So they're judging them on speed and strength and conditioning and all of these wonderful things. So they showed some clips, but not a lot, not enough to really get in the way. But they showed you enough to show that, there was people in the PC. Like, they weren't in there sweating about to pass out. So they basically just, we got to film this segment, guys. So everybody come in and do some broad jumps. Everybody come and do some rotational punches so he can tell people what the hell that is. Anyway, the top 12 ended up being, I'm going to start at the bottom from number 12, Ren Sinclair. Number 11, Tatum Paxley. Number 10, Kelani Jordan. Number 9, Izzy Dame. Number 8, Ivy Nile. Number 7, Lash Legend. Number 6, Fallon Henley. Number 5, Michin Mia Yim. Number 4, Brinley Reese. Number 3, Jada Parker. Number 2, Thea Hale. And number 1 was Sol Ruka. So those are your 12 women, 6 of which will end up in the ladder match. My guess is pretty much everybody within the top 6 are going to win. So Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Jada Parker, probably Michin. I don't think Brinley Reese is going to make it. She's a little happy-go-lucky. And she's basically fairly new. So I think you could take Brinley Reese out and probably replace her with Lash Legend. So it's probably going to be Sol Ruka, Thea Hale, Jada Parker, Michin, Fallon Henley, and Lash Legend. I would imagine those are going to be the top 6. Even though I like Ivy Nile, they don't think much of her. And Kelani Jordan's very good too, but she's still kind of green with no personality. I wouldn't be surprised if they put Tatum Paxley in there too. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So those are our top 12 women. They got 2 matches set up already. Sol Ruka versus Izzy Dame and Ivy Nile versus Lash Legend. So that should tell you already right there that Sol Ruka's getting in and Lash Legend's getting in. So that ought to be interesting. I like the Combine idea. I wish I could have got to see a little bit more of it, and actually make it feel like a real struggle, All right, so we got some real fun stuff with Ariana Grace and Chelsea Green. Most people thought this would be a good pairing. I think we underestimated it. This has the potential to be an all-time fantastic pairing, even though it's pretty much only for tonight. Ariana Grace and Chelsea Green are talking about how much they love each other, essentially. Chelsea Green has been in all of the WWE locker rooms and all the trashy cities. She's had to deal with Awful Adam and Sir Nicholas the Prickles. And she's finally found somebody who understands her, and it's, of course, Ariana Grace. And they start talking about why they need Chelsea Green to be the women's champion of NXT for all the little girls, all the little beauty pageant princesses, for the locker room, and for herself. There's all these great things about Chelsea Green, and Gigi Dolan is sitting there in between the two of them as they absolutely oil each other up verbally. And it's hilarious because she's sitting there absolutely miserable. Now, I don't like that they are not actually forcing her to change how she looks. Like, she's supposed to be getting a makeover. There's no makeover. Like, she looks the same this week as she did a month and a half ago when this damn thing started. Did Sean forget that he was supposed to be giving this girl a makeover? Anyway, Chelsea Green goes off. She runs into Robert Stone because Robert Stone has nothing to do now that Von Wagner is gone. And he has her hat. And they actually hat tip to them might being put back together. Because a lot of people did like the Robert Stone Chelsea Green pairing. So they kind of gave an idea that they might hook back up. Roxanne Perez cuts a promo later on. And I think that, Ava just threw this match together with no thought. But says that this is not about Chelsea Green. This is about herself. Because when you're in the main event, you're the world champion. Or you're the NXT champion, I'm sorry. People call you the prodigy. And it says that she ran all these other girls like Vyra Valkyria up out of NXT. She's going to do the same to Chelsea Green. She wrestles Chelsea Green and she wins. She won the match using a pop rocks. It was kind of a botched version, but she won. This was probably Chelsea Green's best match in WWE. Pretty good match. And Chelsea lost. She lost clean too. I don't understand the idea about putting two heels in a match against each other. Like, what's the point with that? I don't know. That didn't make much sense to me. But it was a nice, I guess, for one evening to give Chelsea Green something interesting to do. She's extremely fun. I know Chelsea Green pretty much works with everybody, but she works very well with Ariana Grace because Ariana Grace can hold her own as a character. And they have very similar characters. Speaking of Ariana Grace, she had to wrestle Mia Yim and she lost, which sucks because Mia Yim sucks. She's no good. I mean, she has not been good. I don't think she's ever been good. I saw her in TNA and she wasn't really all that good then. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe you guys can point to a good Mia Yim match, but I can't find one. Lord have mercy. There's no good ones. Not a one. Not one. And her character sucks too because she doesn't have one. She can't cut promos and she can't really work. What is the benefit to this, woman? What is her benefit? And she's not sexy. She wears like baggy clothes on purpose. And then lectures you about it. She's the worst. She's the shits. She's not Natalia, but she's close. Thea Hale is backstage with Ridge Holland, and Ridge Holland is weird. This is a weird segment. Because Ridge Holland is back there, and Thea Hale she's all hyped up as usual. And Ridge Holland is very impressed by Thea Hale's passion and her intensity and says that he hopes his daughter has as much passion as Thea Hale. And she's like, oh, thank you. But he was looking at her, like R. Kelly hanging out around the high school. I'm like, what is this? I've been listening to a guy get called a pedophile all week. I don't want this. I know, Thea Hale is not that young, but come on. Cut me some slack. How old is Ridge Holland, by the way? Anyway, Lexis King shows up, refers to Thea Hale as a loser, which he always does. He always calls Chase U losers. And then he says that Ridge Holland is not meant for this business. Duke Hudson gets in his face, says that, he should not have offended Thea Hale, and they are going to have a match later. And so Lexis King is wrestling Duke Hudson. He gets a wicked chop in the corner. The chop was incredibly loud. And hilariously, Lexis King blames Thea Hale for him getting chopped very hard. And he starts complaining outside the ring to Thea Hale. So after he gets out of her face, Ridge Holland comes out there with a chair. And he's going to clean Lexis King's clock with this chair. He throws it in the ring. It distracts Duke Hudson. The referee takes it, throws it away. When he turns around, Lexis King hits his finish and wins the match. So Lexis King steals a win because Ridge Holland don't know how to control himself. Later, Ridge Holland goes to Chase U to apologize, saying that, he saw Lexis King, getting in the face of Thea Hale, and it reminded him, Thea Hale reminds him of his daughter. So he felt like he just had to do something. So he wanted to apologize, and, Thea Hale is okay with it. Duke Hudson is, he's okay with it. Andre Chase is okay with it, but then Riley Osborne is like, I don't think a leopard could change his spots. And I'm like, what does that mean? So now Ridge Holland is on a mission to prove to Chase University that he has changed and that he can be of use to them. I don't know why. Why does he care about this? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why he cares. Whatever. Okay, so then we get to the big segment, Supernova Sessions with the Metaphor and Trick Williams. Now, before this segment really got started, I wrote in the margins of my notebook that I don't want Trick Williams roped into this because these people are not important characters on the show. Like, the Metaphor are not the most important characters on the show. They're mid-carders, they're mid-card comedy gimmicks, And I was like, I don't like the idea of Trick Williams being all mixed in with these guys. He's the champion now. They should be doing something, more important. But after watching this segment, I became a lot more interested in what they're doing. So the segment was all about the envelope that Lash Legend teased Trick Williams with last week. So this week, they're trying to get around to this thing. Trick Williams, they showed a big vignette for him. He's a champion now. You know, he told Shawn Michaels NXT is in good hands and all this kind of stuff. So he just wants to know what's in the envelope. He ain't out here to play no games with Noam Dar and with Lash Legend, who is, being weird over there. So he put the pressure on them as they're trying to play around with them. Lash Legend finally appears and she breaks out the envelope, which is of Trick Williams pinning Noam Dar, and Noam Dar's foot is underneath the rope. Now, the way they tried to explain this is that the win over Noam Dar gave Trick Williams some momentum, and that led him to beating Ilya Dragunov. And they feel, this is metaphors thought process, is that his victory against Noam Dar is false, and therefore he is not a true champion or thereabouts, or that Noam Dar can really beat him. So, this whole thing was humorous, to say the least, because it's kind of ridiculous. So Trick Williams starts getting mad that he got brought to this show over this thing, to which he says to Noam Dar, if you wanted a title shot, you could have just asked for it. Then he turns his attention to Lash Legend and talking about how weird she's behaving. He pops the crowd with a Maury reference and a Trick Williams is not the father reference, which even took that thing to the next level. And then he says, "That's all you got to say to me." And Lash Legend's kind of like, and then Noam Dar's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You ain't tell him?" And they kind of go back and forth like, if you don't tell him, I'm gonna tell him. And so Trick Williams starts talking about him and Lash Legend. So it's just hilarious. So she's like, "Babe," and he's like, "What?" Everybody's like, "What?" And now Noam Dar is shitty, face shitty, just attitude, just sour. All right, sour attitude. And she's like, "It's not the time. It's not the right time." And then he's like, "Oh, it's the right time. Why don't you tell him you calling me Trick Willy Wonka?" I was like, "Oh, huge pop." Big pop. Noam Dar is disgusted. He is absolutely disgusted. And as Trick Williams and Lash Legend are intertwined, Noam Dar attacks him from behind and holds up the NXT Championship. And they're excommunicating Lash after this segment. Noam Dar is outside the ring. He's outside in the parking lot. He's making threats towards one Trick Williams that he knocked him out and put him in the hospital. Then Javon Evans is like, "Hey, you guys, you shouldn't do stuff like this to Trick Williams." So he gets threatened by Noam Dar too, and they're going to have a match next week. It ought to be fun. Noam Dar has been in WWE forever. I say that every time. Every time Noam Dar gets pushed or it looks like a push is coming, I'm like, yo, Noam Dar was in WWE in 2016. It's coming up on 10 years for Noam Dar. It's coming up on 10 years for like Cedric Alexander too. So, these guys have been around for a while. So, when Metaphor came out there, Lash Legends was not with them. They asked about Lash Legend, and Noam Dar was like, "Next question." So they're leading this. Maybe Lash Legend's going to be turning babyface and siding with Trick Williams, and Noam Dar is going to excommunicate her out of Metaphor. So there's some interesting drama here. Trick Williams and Lash Legend have actually good on-screen chemistry. It doesn't always translate that people, are couples backstage and it works on TV. But for the two of them, it's working. Their segments together have been really good. Every segment they've done with the two of them in the ring has been pop material. It's been top shit. So them two working together more often could be really fun. Noam Dar is just going to be a beneficiary of that. And also Oro Mensah probably will benefit from that too. So I love what they're doing now. Noam Dar is not a real opponent, clearly. He's just going to get beat and move on. But it's all about building the storyline between Trick Williams and Lash Legend. And eventually they'll bring in a real contender. But, Sexy Red, the rapper Sexy Red, is tweeting about Supernova Sessions. And at first I was like, oh no, this is going to bring the wrong kind of attention. And then I was like, you know what? I don't care. This is great. NXT needs to be seen by more people. They need to know that it's on. They need to know that it's happening. These guys need a bigger platform. They need more attention. This is the best show on TV. It's legitimately fun. The characters are characters. They engage in real ways. The show is kind of zany in a way. They're taking some sports stuff like the Combine and mixing it with crazy entertainment stuff like all the Trick Williams /Legend stuff, or all the metaphor and the gangsters and all this kind of stuff. It's fun. It's a fun product to follow. There's so many different characters bouncing around for you to get attached to, and storylines for you to get interested in. Of course, Sexy Red should be watching it. She should tweet about NXT every week. It's great. It's great exposure. And I'm learning over time that more and more celebrities, of course, are wrestling fans. I just found out that Amy Winehouse was a wrestling fan before she passed away. She was a super fan, too. Like, that's crazy. Like, I remember I was shocked to find out about Luther Vandross being a really big wrestling fan. So, you never know who's watching. So this was really good. Amazing that once all the small foot indie losers left, now like rappers and stuff are tweeting about NXT. Very interesting. I'm pretty sure it's not going to work out to our favor all the time, but it worked out on our favor this time. Even though Sexy Red, she's human hepatitis, but whatever. Okay, let's get into these cuts and let's discuss these cuts for NXT. So WWE had a round of cuts for NXT. They cut about 10 talent. We're going to go through these cuts. And clearly, we've already talked about Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak was cut from NXT, mostly due to the incident with Ronda Rousey. But also a bunch of stories came out about Drew Gulak being very rough with talent, that he used to spike talent on the top of the head, that he was attacking talent's injuries, that he would often bully them, and was trying to basically big dog the talent to see who was going to complain about it. Apparently, Shawn Michaels had talked to him about this a bunch of times, and they decided so whether he was fired or whether his contract expired, whatever, Drew Gulak doesn't work there anymore. He's been the lead story on all the people who have been released. There's actually a video of him working, I believe, main event against Dante Chen, where he does drop Dante Chen on his head. So he should have been fired when he did that. I don't know why the fuck they allowed him to keep working there. Because Dante Chen is like, I think he got injured right after he got pushed. And I think it was a head injury, if I remember correct. I think he might have got a concussion or something. Or it might have been like a broken arm. Who knows? But very unfair for Drew Gulak. They flipped that narrative very quickly. For anybody who thought that, hey, Drew Gulak was a victim of cancel culture, they started putting out stories of Drew Gulak being an asshole almost immediately. So, Gulak, out of here. Boa, the Chinese pro wrestler, he was in WWE for 7 years. He got signed in 2016. He's been fired. There's a long time coming. When they fired Xia Li, I knew Boa's time in the sun wasn't going to last very long. Some guy named Vlad Pavlenko, he never wrestled a television match. Valentina Feroz, she actually was released. Her partner quit, I believe, last year or a year or so ago. And I don't think she's been on TV. It says here that on Wrestling Observer Newsletter, she hasn't wrestled since December 2023. So she hadn't wrestled in 4 months. Her partner, I think, got injured and then asked for her release. And she really didn't have much going for her at that point. Trey Bearhill was interesting. This guy just made it to TV. And he wrestled, it says 17 matches. But I think it was fewer on television before they gave up on him Remember, he was buddies with Eddie Thorpe, and they was like they were going to do some kind of Tatanka tag team gimmick with him and Eddie Thorpe. And then all of a sudden, this guy's gone, so he's fired. Very unfortunate. Kaya Saint, they said she wrestled 13 matches between May 2023 and April 2024. I don't remember seeing her on TV at all. I don't know who she is. Julian Baldy, he never wrestled a match and was part of the the WWE Next Gen television show. This was the buddy of Sexy BJ Ray, the big Italian dude who I thought won the show. I didn't finish the show. I'm sorry. I couldn't finish it. It was too cheesy. I couldn't finish it. But I remember he popped up as I was watching the show, basically saying that he had gotten signed. And, I think 2 weeks later, they released him. He's a big, big Italian kid. He's got a thick neck. They called him Brock Lesnar II. Emma Diaz, who was also on WWE Next Gen, she is no good as a promo. She was one of the most embarrassing, boring promos on that show. I'm surprised they even gave her a chance. She was really bad. Daryl Mason never wrestled a match. He was a former amateur wrestler. Keyshawn LaFleur, he's also on Next Gen. He was the cheerleader that couldn't cut a promo, and they actually signed this guy. Unreal. They cut him too. Ezekiel Balogun, who was a basketball player, he also never wrestled a match. And so there that is. All the NXT cuts on May the 3rd. They probably could have cut more people, and it would have been fine. But they cut mostly folks who had not made it on television, people who are not showing any improvement from what it sounds like, and people who they've had under contract for a long time, because they also cut Von Wagner. Von Wagner surprised a bunch of people by getting cut. He was actually featured on WWE TV when he got cut. He was doing a storyline with Robert Stone, and then he was out of there. He got Das Boot. So, but he got released back in April, late April. So he's been gone for a while. They're just going to retool Robert Stone. I still think that even though NXT is a really good show, I still think they could add more talent to NXT. I'm really pushing for like Cedric Alexander to get sent to NXT. I think he could really add something to that product. There's some other people too. They're doing Ivy Nile, having to go back and forth. That's fine. Some of the women's, like, they should split up KC Squared. And I'm not saying break them up as a tag team permanently, but send one of them back to NXT as a singles wrestler. Like, they've been a tag team for so long. Like, we forget that they're solo wrestlers. And specifically Lacey Lane, the black one with the funny eyes. I want to see what she can do, as a single. Like, I know Casey Catanzaro, who's a really, really small one with a long face. She's very small. So the other one, I want to see what she can do as a solo act. I'm also interested if they're going to start bringing in new talent, because they've already started introducing some of these kids from Next Gen, like Sexy BJ Ray is on the show now. This is like the third time he's been on the show. I think he was in the crowd in a Chase U shirt 3 weeks ago. And then last week he was on the ringside area for NXT Underground. And this week he got kicked in the head by Carmen Petrovic. So he's slowly but surely working his way into the product. I think he would be a great tag team partner for Big Body Javi. I don't know where Javier Bernal is. I think he got married and he's gone for a while. But he would be a great partner for him. Just two delusional, loudmouth, cocky heels. They could be fun. I guess if there's one last note to end on, it's that Wendy Chu is back in action, actually. Wendy Chu was gone for like a year. I don't know what happened to her, but she got in better shape. She's still doing the sleepy gimmick. I don't know what's up with that. But I pictured that she would be featured on the show sometime soon, but she hasn't happened yet. But she didn't get fired. I thought she was going to get quietly released too, considered with the rest of Tian Sha, but she's still there. And I guess they haven't decided to get rid of her yet. So she'll probably get retooled and brought back with a different gimmick. But it ought to be interesting. In any event, I hate that damn sleepy gimmick. I would rather she go back to being like a creepy ogre that climbed through a TV or something than go back to come here and be that sleepy shit. I know it's creative and it might make a lot of money with kids and stuff, but I don't know if it works like on a large stage. I mean, it may, but I don't know. I'm conflicted. It could be fun in a big comfy couch kind of way, but it could also be super cringe in terms of she wrestles with like teddy bears and stuff. Like, that's weird. Anyway, that's NXT. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up in the comment section. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And I appreciate you guys for stopping around. And peace out.